This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
Well, friends, many of you have no doubt visited the world famous Topeka Zoo over the years, and some of you know, but others might not realize how it became the world famous Topeka Zoo. And that was through the former zoo director, the late Gary Clarke. And we lost Gary recently, and I can say that anybody that ever met Gary, it was like opening a bottle of champagne. He was just the most enthusiastic, interesting, warm, compassionate man. He loved animals, obviously. He loved Africa. He operated cowabunga tours and took many people on safari, sharing his love and passion and inspiring others to do the same. So, to pay tribute to our friend Gary Clarke, I thought it would be perfect to share the words of our friend Lloyd Zimmer. And Lloyd and his wife Jackie. Jackie is the curator of the Osa and Martin Johnson Museum in Chanute. So Lloyd's tribute was so lovely and so heartfelt that I thought I would share his words with you today in remembering Gary Clarke. Cowabunga.
If you can walk, you can dance. If you can talk, you can sing. Such is the feeling one was left with after only a brief meeting with Gary Clarke, friend, mentor, and sometimes even a thorn in my side. The old Daga boy took his last breath on this planet 2 nights ago, but his spirit flies high around the world. He lived most of his adult life in Topeka, Kansas, but his spirit was in Africa, and Africa was clearly in his spirit. At only 24, he began an incredible journey, creating almost from scratch the world-famous Topeka Zoo, a story unto itself. Then he completed 139 African safaris before health issues interrupted his goal of 200. His 140th safari was through his book, Gary Clarke's Africa, Wildlife, Rainbows, and Laughter. This safari including the most guests as they saw Africa through Gary's eyes and his words. There simply was no better storyteller, and at his best, Gary kept an audience of 1 or 1,000 enraptured with his tales for hours. This picture from a book signing at my store in 2011 was taken nearly 2 hours after closing time. Gary was on, and no one wanted to leave, including myself. Some of my own favorite memories of Gary are from when he would just hang out at the store, often greeting visitors and welcoming them to the shop. He would walk around, sharing stories and telling them about his favorite books and maps in the shop. I cannot count how many times such a visitor would tell me how lucky I was to work in Gary's bookstore. I greatly regret that after moving from Topeka, I did not see Gary as much as I wished. A clear lesson that repeats itself over and over as to making the time for your friends and loved ones. But, and said with Gary Clarke emphasis, his spirit and his life has impacted and can be found inside of the thousands and thousands of people across the U.S., Europe, and most of all, Africa. And through all of us, Gary Clarke will live for many more generations. Asante, my friend. Thank you, Lloyd, for a beautiful tribute to an incredible man. I can think of no better way to honor Gary's memory than to visit the zoo. Take your kids, teach them about wildlife, and learn alongside them. Go to Africa and tell them Gary sent you. Welcome to Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in Oakley, Kansas on I-70 at exit 76. I-70, after all, is America's Main Street, and we're right here on Main Street for you. Now that I'm an Oakley resident, I still come in almost every day, and I sit and listen to the conversations of the people around me. You know, the guys who are talking about the big elk they just bagged, or the folks who are taking their kid to college for the first time. People just traveling up and down the highway, real people, just like you and me. And they find just what I find here, real people to serve them. There's history, there's scenery. We hope you'll stop and see us soon. Welcome to Oakley.